Hi everyone, my name is Soka. I am the founder of Brow Lady Microblading Studio. I'm here to talk to you about the 5 best decisions that I've made in my first year of business as a microblader. Number 1, I never did any work for free. I get it, in the beginning we're looking to build our portfolio and we want as many people in as possible so that we can gather a lot of photos to build a portfolio. It's a great way to look busy and to also build trust so that other clients can potentially book with us. I charge a minimal price for when I started out. The only time I ever did anything for free was when I did my model on the model day, which was part of the training, and I worked on my mother and my aunt's eyebrows. Those are the only times I ever did anyone for free. $100 is a lot of money, yes, but it's not a lot of money when you're comparing it to microblading or the PMU world, because $100 is really cheap. It's enough for me to cover my expenses for supplies on the first session as well as the second session, which is the touch-up. I tell my clients that I am doing a model call. They are models, so that means that they know that I just started or completed my training and that I'm starting out. And in order for them to be my models, they would have to agree to let me use their photos for any marketing purposes. And I made sure that they fill out the form and that they sign and agree to that, just in case somebody reneges later down the road. This helped me because I took my job more seriously. If I were doing something for free, to be honest, yes, I would put a lot of effort into it, but I probably wouldn't be as serious about it if I were to work on a stranger or a complete stranger who was in fact paying me. If I were to say, for instance, I was doing my cousin's eyebrows for free, then I probably would just be like, this is fine. I wouldn't provide the same type of service as I would if it were actually a paid client. And also, clients have an expectations when they are paying you. When they're giving you any type of money, they're gonna wanna have good eyebrows, even if it's $100. But they're a little bit more lenient because they're not paying, what, $500 to $800, which is like the going rate around my area. When you set the expectations that they are models and that they're learning, or that you're learning, then that's something else. That's a whole new ball game. You tell them it's gonna take me 3 to 4 hours for me to do your eyebrows and it's gonna cost this much money. I never did any of the work for free unless it was my mom and my aunt. Those are the only 2 exceptions. Number 2, I hired a professional marketer to do my marketing the first year until I was able to build up momentum to the point where I was booked out 6 months. I was booked 6 months out. Then I said to myself, maybe I don't need a marketer anymore. But that doesn't mean I stopped running ads. That meant that I had time, or that I had somebody else, my husband, to do the marketing. He did the Google ads for me and that was it. But by then, after I built the momentum, I was able to get word of mouth or referrals from the clients that had already came to me. Here's the thing, hiring a professional marketer is a waste of money if your work is trash. Do not hire a professional marketer if your work is less than mediocre. If it's not good, don't do it. There is no point. The whole point of having a marketer is for them to showcase your work so that they can attract people and more traffic to you. It would not make sense if they attracted all these people to you only for the users and the people who are interested will end up finding your work and it's not good. So you're just paying money for no reason. Now, it's powerful if your work is great, if you're happy with what the type of work you're putting out, then it's good, because what's the point of being really good if no one knows who you are? That's when you know you need a professional marketer. Number 3, I took my branding very seriously with a budget that I had. What I did was I went to Etsy and I was able to afford no more than $200 at the time in the beginning of my career. Let's be honest, I did not have a lot of money and I That's just how it was. I set a budget aside and I said no more than $200. I am on the hunt for a designer, and guess what? I found someone, but I haven't hired them yet. They are charging me $10,000. $10,000. At which point I'm at a point in my career that I can afford that and I can charge it to my business. But in the beginning, I couldn't afford that. So marketing and designing your logo, finding someone who's a graphic designer, and someone who's gonna help you find that brand identity can cost, the cost can vary greatly. Yes, you can do your logo for free. There's a bunch of apps that will help you, but there's no point in doing it if that's not what you're good at. So what I did was I went to Etsy. I found a studio who helped me. I paid $80 for my first logo. I liked it. I was like, this is good enough. I'm gonna keep this. And I used it, and I still use it today, which is why I'm looking for another rebrand. So I branded myself to find the clients that I wanted to attract. Now, when you look at my logo, it's simple, it's feminine, and it's high quality, in my opinion. So I use that for my website, how to design my Instagram layout, which I have a person doing that for me. I use it for my highlights. It's a branding kit. So you use the fonts and the colors to make sure that everything related to your business is cohesive. So I took my branding pretty seriously with the budget that I had, and I didn't want to learn how to make it myself. If you're not a pro with digital design or you don't have experience, cut out the learning. It's a learning curve if you plan on doing it. Just hire someone to do it for you. All right, number 4. Using a booking system to automate my bookings. I understand that in the very beginning, you don't want to spend any money on a booking system or something that you could do yourself. But let me tell you this, automation is key, especially with booking. You want to make it easy for people to find you, and when they find you and they're interested and you've hooked them in, you want to make it easy for them to pay you, to book that spot and pay you. So I got a booking system called Schedulista, and it sends them confirmation text, it sends them confirmation emails, it sends them reminder texts and emails, and it also has my policies, my rules, and my pricing on the booking app so that our clients know what it is that they're signing up for. You just have to make it easy for people to book with you. That way you can spend your time rather than sending text messages back and forth and waiting for a client to respond to you or a potential client to respond to you, or that prospective client is waiting for you to respond to them. It could take so much time wasted. And by then, if they're waiting on you, they probably moved on to somebody else down the street. All right, last but not least, number 5, invest in training, high quality training. Let me be very clear about this. Knowledge isn't power. Knowledge is only powerful if you implement what you've learned. I'm not saying go out and take a bunch of trainings. What I'm saying is, when you find your training, you have to implement what you've learned and master the craft before you move on to the next training. Just because you have more training doesn't mean you're good. It shows that you're dedicated to perfecting your craft. But what's the point if you don't practice to get good at what it is that you've learned? There's a huge, I see it often. I see artists getting trainings after trainings after trainings to learn more things. Now you have all this knowledge that you've soaked in, it's in your head, and you know what you're talking about. But do you know how to do what it is that you're supposed to do? My tip for you is to take a class, learn that technique, implement those techniques, get really good at it, specialize in it, and then move on to the next challenge. When I took my first microblading course, I practiced microblading for 6 months. I practiced it until I was like, okay, girl, you got this. But then I needed to learn how to shade, and shading was so hard for me. I was not used to transitioning from using just the tools to create the perfect pretty hair strokes into using a rotary pen that vibrates and is a little bit heavier in weight. Requires a whole different technique. So for me, that was the transition. I had to learn something else. I need to learn shading, and I had to practice shading. I still practice shading now to this day. I practice shading and strokes so that I don't lose it. I needed to learn how to practice shading eyebrows, and I practiced that until I felt very comfortable with it. Then I moved on to learning how to do lips. Lips is now the current thing that I am uncomfortable doing. So I feel good about it, but I need more practice. I need to feel as though I am a master at lips before I move on to the next thing. I will tell you a story. It's just one of those nights where I was scrolling through Facebook and I found the Tiny Tattoos course. I signed up for it immediately because I thought it was a really cool thing for me to learn. And I completed the training just last night. Took me a long time. But am I going to be implementing and doing tiny tattoos? I want to, but I just learned how to do lips, and permanent makeup is more my thing. So I'm gonna practice with the lips first, and maybe on the side practice the training to do tiny tattoos. But I just wasted a ton of money on something that I might not even do. At the time I was like, heck yeah, I'm gonna do this. But it turns out that it's a little different than microblading or permanent shading or anything like that, because the technique is totally different, and I have to learn, how to use my muscles in a different way. It's better for you to be good at one or two things than be mediocre at 5 things. So those are the 5 best decisions that I made in my first year of business. Please subscribe and give me a thumbs up so I'm more motivated to make more videos. You can find more of my work in the link located in the description box below. Thanks for watching. Hi, Kaya. What are you doing? This is Kaya. Kaya is Elsa today. Is this your lunch? You're eating Kit Kat for lunch?